Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor at MetaStellar. And today's top free best-selling speculative fiction book on Amazon is a fun fantasy romance. But before we get to that, we've got 4 other books to talk about because every Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of every book on Amazon's top 5 list. It used to be top 10, but it was too much work. Today, I was helped out by assistant fiction editor Terrence Smith, marketing assistant Lilibet Dominguez-Torres, and community member Alex Mueller. And Alex is here with us today. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
All right. The link to the article and to all the books is in the description box below. For those who are new to our channel, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free to our readers, thanks to our generous contributors of our Patreon community. We publish original short fiction, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews like this one. And we have 2 anthologies out. Here we go. Year 1 is it's been out since last summer. Year 2 just came out, and it's available in all major stores. I think Amazon doesn't have the ebook or the print version yet, but you can get them both on Barnes & Noble and plenty of other places. The links to that are in the description box below as well. Oh, and October 1st is our fall submission window. We accept reprints throughout the year, but we don't pay for reprints. For original fiction, we pay 8 cents a word, and so the submission window is open October 1st through the end of the month. So mark your calendars if you are a sci-fi or fantasy or horror writer. All right, let's get into it. Where are the books? There they are. Okay, so let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys so you guys can see it. There we go. The Sacrifice by Emily Shore. The first of 3 books in the Her Monstrous Boys fantasy series. The other books are $5 each. The second one's in Kindle Unlimited. The 3rd book is due out this coming January and is available for pre-order. So the book starts out with our main character, Quinn, bent over a headstone in the cemetery, her skirt hiked up. She's having sex with her sister's fiance, and her sister and the fiance are getting married tomorrow. And the book gets crazier from there. In just the first couple of chapters, she was almost killed by a ghost. She saved a girl from dying of miscarriage. She and the girl were chased by ghosts. And something called the Veil is opening up, and monsters are pouring into their world. They live in something called the Borderlands. Crazy stuff, very compelling, very fun to read, very chaotic and emotional. I was definitely caught up in the story, but it is a little on the grim side for me, so I don't think I'm going to be sticking with it. But yeah, definitely it pulls you in and it just keeps moving. So and I really did like the protagonist because she's a half ghost and she has a really bizarre backstory. You just have to read this. You have to read this, and I do recommend it. Okay, so next we have book number 4 in today's list, Bound by Ravens by Jesikah Sundin. One of 11 books in the Starry Kingdoms of the Fae fantasy series. Each of the books is its own stories that can be read independently, and each is written by a different author. The other books are usually $3 each, but several of them are free today, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited, in case you don't know, is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want. So great deal. Oh, and Alex read this one. What did you think?
Okay, well, for starters, Bound by Ravens is a fascinating combination of fantasy and crime, which is a combination I was not expecting and ended up thoroughly enjoying. Like, the piece is set in a world that somehow balances magic with modern technology and industry. We get to see humans mixed and mingling with things like fairies elves, and other well-known fantasy races. We even get talking ravens thrown into the mix, so well, we also know this book's title doesn't just exist because it sounds cool. Now, like, the fascinating setting isn't the only thing the story has going for it. Like, we also have a compelling cast of characters to occupy this world. We've got a spunky go-getter heroine who likes to yell rape and rob people. And we've got a suave hero who likes to make people make out with him before he robs them. And if you're noticing a theme for what I'm just saying, with me bringing up robbing a lot, it's because this world is because this world of the story is run by crime lords. Very well organized, lawful, evil crime lords. And honestly, these guys have rules for everything. They have rules for people, like for who people can steal from. They have rules for who people can sleep with. And unlike a lot of other crime stories I've read, it's very refreshing to see criminals having a method to their madness. Our protagonists also happen to belong to rival crime syndicates, and when they get sent to acquire the same item of interest, it's pretty clear we're shaping up for a Romeo and Juliet scenario. Yay! Like, overall, like, this book is perfect for anyone who enjoys both fantasy and crime, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing it.
All right, let's move on to book number 3, Bound by Dragons by Alisha Klapheke. Klapheke. Anyway, this is the book. Let me make that a little bigger. Okay, so again, this is part of that same series as the previous book, Bound by Ravens. Terrence Smith read this for us, and he says that this one's about Talia, a half-fae squire who wants to ride dragons and become a Mist Knight, which are a team of dragon riding soldiers. And she and her best friend have a plan to infiltrate a tournament being held to select the next Mist Rider. And she uses a sample of her friend's blood to pass as full fae in order to enter the competition. Meanwhile, Marius, who's a full-blooded fae, who wants to marry the Mist Knight's commander's daughter and become the Mist Knight's leader and become like raise the next generation of fae. And then he meets Talia and looks like he might fall in love with her, which will kind of put an end to all his plans. Terrence says that the characters come off as likable. They have great chemistry together. Farah is the best friend, is a little more cautious, and Talia keeps dragging her on these adventures. And he says he's rooting for Talia to enter the tournament and leave her impoverished life behind. And even though Marius could be a hot-headed elitist, he's surprisingly humble. And so maybe his goal of marrying the commander's daughter might seem self-serving. He does it in the memory of his beloved sister, so he comes off as more human and empathetic. And he also has a lot of respect for his dragon, seeing him as a companion to be treated with respect. So Terrence says that romance isn't typically his preferred genre, but he finds the characters very appealing. He's not going to stick with it, but he thinks that other fans of fantasy and romance might like it. All right, next we have a book that I read, Wicked Court by Alexi Blake, the first of 4 books in the Darker Woods fantasy romance series. We're seeing a trend today, a lot of fantasy romance. The other books are $4 to $5 each, and they're not on Kindle Unlimited. The 4th book will be released next August and is available for pre-order. So I am not the target audience for this book because I don't like romance. And this book definitely seems to be building up to a romance. And there's a lot of like fae drama. It's set in a kingdom ruled by a capricious queen. The protagonist is her granddaughter who has magical powers she has to keep secret and lives at the queen's command. And then there's also a mysterious, handsome man she despises but still dreams about. So on the surface, not my kind of book. I don't like court drama. I don't like old crushes. I don't like her the best friend and who the best friend's gonna marry, all that stuff, right? So on paper, I don't like it. In practice, I could not put the book down. I literally have already read half the book and had to stop because I had to finish up the article and do the taping. So the protagonist, Laurie, is competent, she's clever, she's action-oriented, she's making a life for herself despite all the constraints she's under. She doesn't go around feeling sorry for herself. I like her a lot. The writing's very fast-paced and engaging. I got caught up in the relationships and what was happening at the court, even in the best friend's love life. So the only downside I have is that she doesn't kill anyone in this first half of the book. She comes close twice. She almost kills two beings, but then doesn't. So as you might know, if you're a regular watcher of this channel, I do love murder and mayhem. So, but I'm gonna forgive that and stick with the book. I liked it a lot. And so if you're a fan of this genre, you might really love it. But even if you're not a fan of this genre in particular, but do like epic fantasy, do like adventure, give it a shot. It's very, very readable and fun. Before we go to book number 1, I want to thank our Patreon supporters, including Sunshine, who is new to our community this week. Thank you, Sunshine. We love you. We appreciate you. We wouldn't be able to publish all the original fiction we do without you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. And here is book number 1 on today's best-selling free sci-fi and fantasy list. It's Curse of Shadow and Thorns by L.J. Andrews, the first of 9 books in the Broken Kingdoms fantasy romance series. The other books are $6 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. Lilivette Dominguez-Torres read this for us, and she says it's a young adult fantasy romance, but she was on the edge of her seat right from the very beginning because of how much fun it was. So from the start, we meet Alisha, a 19-year-old princess. She likes running away from her royal duties and having fun in the gambling halls, in the bad parts of the city. She's the second niece of the king, so nobody really expects much of her besides compliance and silence, so she's kind of been unnoticed until now. A brawl breaks out at the gambling hall where she's hanging out, and she runs into the famous and attractive Legion Grey. And then when she gets back to the castle, her king, her uncle, wants her presence at the main hall. And then she finds out that the king is going to be offering her hand in marriage. Basically, she's going to be for sale to the highest bidder. And to make things worse, Legion Grey is in charge of the whole process. So Lilivette says it's a fun premise for the first 3 chapters of this book. She thinks the writing is fun, the characters are interesting, the world building piques your interest with the Fae and the royalty drama, but it wasn't her particular cup of tea. But if you're a fan of fantasy books and you like what appears to be an enemies to lovers romance, then you might want to check this one out. All right, so that's it for today's books. Please subscribe if you want to make sure not to miss any of these in the future, because we do this every single Friday afternoon, so you have some fun weekend reading to look forward to. We also have a newsletter that goes out every Friday afternoon with this list in it, as well as all the new fiction that we published the previous week and some articles that we do. So subscribe to that. The link is in this description box below as well. Meanwhile, I am going to go finish up that book that I started. Thank you, Alex, for joining me here today. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You as well.
And thanks, everyone. I'll see you next Friday.